According to new research, women-led companies are more likely to meet global climate goals. At the same time, only a tiny fraction of the financing goes to female founders and leaders. Only 1% of venture funding. When reading this, I really thought that's preposterous. I mean, that's ridiculous. That needs to change. A key topic here is to what extent green stamp funding is available to women and the necessary steps the financial sector needs to take to ensure more inclusivity and growth. Representatives of the venture capital funds New Vision 3, Launch Cup, and the largest Bulgarian bank UBB will join the discussion. Our final topic is about money, green stamp funding, sustainability factors for funding. It's my great pleasure to introduce to the stage Raya Yunakova, VC investor at Launch Cup Ventures. Welcome. Desislava Simeonova, Sustainable Finance Program Leader and Executive Director SME Banking of UBB.
Thank you.
Hello. And Zlatolina Mukova, Managing Partner, Nevek Capital Partners and New Vision 3. Welcome. Just a few key words about our moderator, Raya. Raya is responsible for sourcing, evaluating, and leading new investments for Launch Cup Ventures. Before joining Launch Cup Ventures, Raya was part of Pi Labs, a London-based venture capital firm investing in early-stage technology companies in the real estate sector. At Pi Labs, she managed the pre-seed investments and early-stage growth program and conducted the technical due diligence for the fund's seed investments. Before Pi Labs, Raya was responsible for Microsoft's technical audience relations in 25 countries across Europe and Central Asia. She is also a co-founder of Nimero, a technology startup with a focus on the educational space. Thank you, Raya.
Thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here and to talk about money, especially after the empowerment chant, because what's money if not empowering? So really happy to speak with our guests here, representing both the banking and the venture capital industry. And we're going to talk a bit about the funding options for green innovation and in general for sustainability. But before we do that, I wanted to ask our guests about their view over the sustainability field and sustainable innovations. And ladies, question to both of you about the trends and some of the more interesting things you've seen lately, either personally or through your work in the sustainability field.
Yeah, please. Okay, I'll start first. Thank you. In fact, we see that this topic is becoming more and more hot. And there are no businesses which can skip it or pass through it without paying attention. Of course, this change starts from the biggest companies because they can afford resources, capacity. They have some buffers, even during this difficult times, crisis, to dedicate, to build their strategies, to build their policies, to allocate people, program managers, to allocate a person to be a taxonomy officer, to prepare them. They invest a lot in the so-called education because they understand that their employees are the first to be convinced, to be trained, to be knowledgeable, and to become their ambassadors in the society in order to promote and to give the clear view about regulation, but not only the regulation, but the impact, what we are committed to with the collective commitment for climate action. Our group, because UBB and DZI and some smaller subsidiaries in Bulgaria, we are part of KBC Group. In 2019, we signed this collective commitment for climate action and committed to this net zero emission by 2050. So this will not come for free. we need to invest efforts in this direction.
What about smaller companies, I suppose?
I will answer from a different perspective. First, from the perspective of a small financial institution, and also from the perspective of small companies, of course. So I will confirm also that I see the same. I see awareness increasing in both financial institutions like our venture capital fund and also companies. And I notice this from the applications that we are receiving, the pitch decks, so-called, from the startup companies. We receive quite a lot pitch decks of companies that employ some kind of green technology. Of course, we have to distinguish between real green and not so green, but I would say, and this might be surprising, but about 20-25% of our portfolio is in green companies of different kinds. So I will explain later if it's interesting. But as regards awareness in financial institutions, I don't know if everybody knows that now funds like ours are obliged to have ESG policy. It's also official on our website. Everyone can see it. And if someone thinks that we are not really in compliance with the ESG requirements, everybody knows ESG, so they can complain and they can really come and ask why this is happening. I don't think anybody can complain because private equity and venture capital are really engaged in ESG, even if it is not so formal and with so many procedures and documentation like industrial companies, etc. I don't believe in bureaucracy so much, so I don't think we need it. So yeah, we are looking very carefully into such companies that offer different green initiatives. Of course, it's very difficult to judge when you are not an expert, and for private equity and venture capital, especially for a small company like Bulgaria, where funds are not specialized, and we don't have specialized impact funds and specialized green funds, it's difficult to build expertise in these fields. But in any case, as I said, we are investing, and usually such proposals, pitch decks, receive a lot of attention because all my colleagues in the funds have this awareness about green initiatives.
Mm-hmm. What about regionally? Because you are right, Bulgaria is one of those small markets, but have you noticed regionally, and you from the perspective of KBC, I imagine have a great overview of what's happening across borders, and I know we have people online listening from other countries, so beyond the borders of Bulgaria, have you noticed any specific trends or anything people are doing particularly well in our region with regards to sustainability?
First of all, it is important to say that Bulgaria is not identified to be a leader in the direction of sustainability. So our role is seen much more as a follower of the EU regulations and expectations, requirements. But we have to be fully aligned. On the other hand, I hope that the geopolitical risks that we are seeing will not postpone or delay or deviate from the path we have started. This is really important. And one trend which here unfortunately helped during the last years is the increasing prices of electricity and fuel. And this increase triggered a lot of requests by the companies for financing for their own needs, photovoltaic projects. We responded to this need. We immediately defined a kind of product in order to be easier for our relationship managers to promote and to give clear information to the customers. And in fact, we, as addressee of the regulation, clearly committed what part of our energy portfolio will be dedicated to the renewable energy sources. Initially, we started with 65%. Currently, we increased this ambition to 75% by the end of 2024, and above 100 million euro we are investing in such kind of financing, which is really important. There the companies see the benefit and the added value because they can optimize their costs, they become more efficient and compatible on the market. This is a clear trend, for sure, for the last months and more than a year even.
Yeah, I think I will not be that mild. I think Bulgaria is lagging behind in everything related to green technologies and carbon neutrality, etc. And we all know that energy consumption per GDP in Bulgaria is several times higher than in the EU and other countries. And we all know the initiatives of other countries regarding green. US, EU, Asia, everywhere, there are different incentives. While I don't see this in Bulgaria, regretfully. As regards technology, of course, like in every technology area, in the startups area, we have a lot of startups that have technology, hopefully, of the future, and that will help the green initiative. And as we heard from the previous panel, companies have difficulties in managing this, the environmental impact and measuring and reporting and monitoring, etc. And I think the startups are the ones that will provide those technologies for the companies to be able to do this easily and really for real benefit for the environment, as the procedures and the bureaucracy, whether European or whatever, don't help.
Do you have a particular technological trend or any specific piece of technological innovation that you feel would help us become more competitive in this space? Well, not competitive, because really the goal is not competition, but really advance further in sustainability.
Well, I can give an example in technologies we have invested or we are planning to invest. For example, technology for measuring air pollution, but not just in one place, but in many places, collecting also information all over the world, in every, so you can see the data and the analysis in specific region, and then and also it provides solutions. What is the origin of the pollution and how you have to fight this? So you understand also you can make a decision on this on the basis of this data. This is just an example. And of course, you all know about Nascomo that produce protein from soldier fly, and we know that producing protein from meat is polluting a lot, while producing it from soldier fly is the future. So we hope this really will be the future. Many other examples in technology, of course. As I said, I think this is the only field, small companies, that we can rely that they will bring new technologies to help in this area.
Banks and financial institutions are more conservative entities. We are quite regulated, so we cannot take risk for financing this type of technologies. They are much more addressing their needs through venture capital. But currently we are at the stage of education. We are trying to collect data to raise the awareness about the topic. So our efforts are directed towards something which I heard in the previous panels also, building or combining the so-called carbon footprint calculators. And we are proud that together with the Agricultural Institute, we managed to launch the first carbon footprint calculator for agricultural producers. We absolutely intentionally focused on a simple type of carbon foot calculator, not asking for too many data, because we know these agricultural producers do not dispose such kind of data. So for them to be easy understandable, and also to help them to calculate their footprint in order to start after that with some kind of action plan, how to reduce, what to optimize, and how to comply with the future expectations and requirements.
I see a great potential here for automation of collecting that data through maybe a technological solution. So if anyone's building anything.
Yes, analysis, collection, it is always of help for us.
I wanted to talk to you about the options for receiving funding. You have two very different perspectives. What do you specifically offer, and maybe starting with the banking option and the larger kind of more established organizations, do you have any specific financial products for implementing innovation that Zlatolina's companies can then get paid from?
I already said that we are more conservative. We are financing existing businesses. I understand that sometimes it is better to start a new company than transforming an existing business according to the new requirements. But for the banks, the track record, the financial history of the company, the cash flow which the company is generating is quite important in order to give access to financing. Something advantageous which we have are the European instruments, guarantee instruments, and some of them with subsidies. For the moment, we are expecting for more clear political situation and recovery plan to be put in place in order all these programs with subsidies to start, because a lot of companies are waiting for them quite for a time. And they are reducing the risk for us. They are reducing also the risk for the companies. They ensure the instruments with grants ensure a faster return, payback of the investment. For us, it is an opportunity to ask for less collateral, to give discounts in the pricing, because we see that the investment will lead to substantial improvement and optimization of the business and reduce the footprint.
But it would go through a standard financing mechanism?
Absolutely, absolutely. But we need companies with track record and at least 3 years of financial experience.
Fair enough.
Yes, and a bit good results for the moment. But the instruments really help, and UBB for sure is a front runner. We have a big variety of such instruments that support businesses and our financing.
And what about on the startup side? You said
on the private equity and venture capital side. So we don't have specific products, as I mentioned earlier. There are such funds in Europe and other continents, but not in Bulgaria, that are really focused on such financing. But we come to in Bulgaria, what we have in Bulgaria is an accelerator focused on climate, and there have been other initiatives in the past also for small investments in such which are focused only on climate-related companies. As for the other funds of Bulgaria, this is not the case. But as I said before, I don't think that this is an obstacle for good projects to get financed. And especially if they are related to technologies, supporting technologies, but not the ones that require long-term period for long-term payback period. And we cannot participate in such projects. We have even tried in the past, but we could not wait. As you know, we are close-ended fund, and we don't have this horizon for 10 or more years for companies that need this time to develop. And especially in a situation which we are facing today, when technologies providing benefits to the environment are not still validated. You don't know if the technology related to electric vehicles will be the technology of the future, or it will be a technology related to hydrogen, or technology related to liquid vanadium batteries. So for a venture capital fund like ours, it's not possible to invest in such technologies with such a long horizon.
So basically, you would still judge them on market terms.
We judge them on market terms. Yeah.
Fair enough. Because you mentioned earlier that you pay special attention. Actually, 25% of your portfolio being dedicated to green tech companies is not bad at all.
Yeah.
How do people capture your attention? Is it first the financial side and then kind of the added bonus of sustainability? Or is there a special kind of way to approach you and say, okay, we're doing this fantastic green tech thing and it's still making money? Or what would be your preference?
Well, what catches our attention is the standard thing that first it's the person that you meet, the team that develops the technology, and then the market. And then we look at this, and then this is also, it's good if it is green, but if it's not, you know, it doesn't matter. Of course, if it's green, it is an additional point that we will consider, and this will make it, this will be an advantage for this project.
Fair enough. Do you then feel that we need to create a special mechanism regionally or for Bulgaria specifically to fund green innovation? Like you mentioned the Western European initiatives that are kind of ahead of us, both in terms of implementation and funding. Do you feel like we could use a special dedicated instrument for green tech? Or market terms would be still the leading factor?
I'm not sure we will be able to find something which is unknown for the moment on the market, because we have already a variety of instruments supporting this activity, and they could be used in the context of innovating and supporting the sustainability target for sure. We have Innofin, which is a program exactly supporting fast-growing, sustainable businesses with clear vision on the future and on their impact. So we have such kind of instruments, but you know, always the business is much more oriented on the subsidized instruments, and they are the ones that are expected with high tension and high expectations.
What about the specific green tech VC?
Well, I'm not an expert in general as regards government initiatives, etc. Of course, what I can say for sure is that if there are flaws on the market, then they have to be corrected by providing different types of subsidies. And I think that really this market and this industry, the green industry, needs such subsidies for sure in the short and in the middle term. Maybe in the long term it will be able to survive and to become sustainable, but not in the short term. So for sure it needs such subsidies. I'm sure there are different sources. As regards venture funding, it will be good if we have impact funds in Bulgaria that can focus, because as a venture fund financed by, we have private investors in our fund, and we are not specialized in impact investing, so we cannot really make this differentiation between green companies and other companies, and we have to judge only based on business principles. And it will be good if we have impact funds that can support such initiatives, so that Bulgaria is not lagging behind Europe and the
rest of the world.
Yeah, and I think globally we are lagging behind, not just in Europe.
Yes, I think green, well, not just green, but impact funding can be applied to a variety of cases, so totally with you on that. Are there specific projects or innovations that you would personally like to fund, regardless of the frameworks of your organizations? From my perspective, for example, because I used to work for a prop tech innovation fund, and construction is actually one of the biggest pollutants that there is out there. So from my perspective, I would personally like to fund something that tackles the impact of concrete production, for example, because that's hugely impactful. From your perspective, is there anything you would like to see funded or for you yourself to fund?
We expect the businesses to find the solution how to mitigate the impact, and when they convince us that this idea could work and will add value, for sure. Currently, we are focused in the financial sector because we are not working even with so much money from the shareholders, but mainly from the customers' attracted funds. So we have to be cautious how to finance and invest this money. In fact, we are for the moment aiming and already succeeded to organize a kind of advisory hub. Companies, consultancy companies, which can help our customers to define their current situation based on the data which can be extracted, which can be calculated and analyzed, and for sure to give them the right advices in terms of building projects and building premises which are fully compliant and are with sustainable future.
Fantastic. How does one take advantage of this consultancy? First of all, be a client of UBB, I imagine. and then what are the steps? Is it available to everyone?
Yes,
in your client
to
list?
all our customers, especially in the business segment, SMEs and corporate customers. We don't expect the customers to knock on our door and to ask for something. In fact, we are the ones proactive, having them from ICAP data, going on the field, discussing with them about their business, asking the right questions, and that is why it is really important to have educated, well-trained relationship managers. And I would use the opportunity. I saw Marina Stefanova in the previous panel, together with the Sofia University and the Faculty of Economics and Business Administration. We recently launched our second edition for ESG Academy to train our relationship managers, in fact, to ask the right questions towards the clients, and when needed, to make this connection with these companies, whether it is related to the optimization of water, paper, electricity consumption, whether it is related to the wastewater filtering, this type of things. Also, companies which work in the field of renewable energy sources, because some of our clients, they already identified the need of change, but don't have the expertise in the relevant field. So we make this connection with the advisory help we already established within our group in Bulgaria.
It's very cool.
Yes.
Very cool initiative.
So where we would like to invest, of course, as you mentioned before, we think agri-tech is a good sector, and if we start from the more simpler part of industry, then go to the more complicated. But of course, we are looking into any energy efficiency solutions that come to the market. We have invested already, and we are looking into circular economy. So buying second-hand, whether it is furniture, fashion, whatever, second-hand, using plastics for second-hand for producing flooring or whatever. So any solution, for example, long-lasting battery for vehicles, or producing various IoT hardware that is driven by green energy, and any such initiatives, any such project really look interesting. We hope we will meet such people in Bulgaria and the engineers that can produce such technology. But you know that Bulgaria is specialized mostly in software, so we are looking into technologies related to data analysis and decision making.
True, it gets increasingly more difficult the moment you introduce the real world components like IoT or anything like that. A bit more visionary, looking forward in the future. We know the state now is we really need to do the majority of the work. Really, it's ahead of us. How do you see the world in about 20 years, like a bit longer term in terms of sustainability? Do you think we would have overcome some of the challenges that we have today? What do you think we would still be working on if you had to speculate?
We have to speculate a lot, especially the situation in which we are now, political and geopolitical and everything. I think there will be change. I don't know if we are going to compensate for the negative impact that we have produced until now, but there will be change in a positive direction because I see the awareness of people everywhere, the awareness of businesses, the awareness in our industry, private equity and venture capital. So this gives me, this makes me feel that there will be change, even if it goes slower, but we can expect that the future will be better.
No matter whether it will come from a regulatory point of view or from the change mindset and more responsible attitude towards future, towards next generation, the change will come sooner or later, and we should be prepared, and we should be a kind of helping, supporting the customers, the businesses, being addressee also of these regulations. Our own carbon footprint is also measured based on our customers' portfolio, so we need to take the role of ambassadors and to give relevant knowledge and to support this transformation. For sure, ESG is not just ticking a box and a kind of complying on paper with all the requirements. There is a kind of mission. It was already said in the previous panels. I don't want to repeat, but I believe it will become more and more obvious for each of us, like private individual. But everything will start from the larger companies because they will comply with these requirements, and they will impose towards the chain of suppliers. First of all, they will ask them how much is the carbon footprint in a unit of your production, and then even the smaller companies should take care about this and should be able to address this.
Interesting perspective. It could go one of each ways, right? Either services become more green and sustainable, and that helps the big companies, or big companies start demanding that. It's probably, from my perspective, it's probably going to meet somewhere in the middle. But finally, just to conclude, I wanted to ask you personally, on a personal level, do you engage in any green initiatives? And for myself and for everyone in the audience, what would be your recommendation to people on how we can all do our part in the whole sustainability journey, so we can speed up that process? I love the education angle that you mentioned a couple of times, and absolutely the first step for me is getting familiar with things. But what can we do as individuals in order to get there faster?
In fact, there is nothing revolutionary. The personal example is of key importance for sure. And what I do, I invest in my own collecting information to be convinced about all these changes and when I discuss with the customers, when I discuss with friends in my private life, to be convincing with right arguments, not with slogans. This is really important, I believe.
Super important on every level in our lives, I think.
Yeah. So if we are here, this means that we are personally and professionally engaged. And of course, in my personal life, like saving plastics. But you know, again, missing information from the table of Luba, I didn't see the bags, the cotton bags that we received. Are they a good one to use or not? Because there were plastic and various types, but not the cotton ones. So
if we use them enough long, it
how
will be
how many years I have to use them, and if my life is long enough, but I'm using them. So I try to save plastics. I don't use dryer. I mean, I'm trying to save in every possible way the things that I think are helping the nature. And in my professional life, as I already mentioned, I would say most of the investments that we have done in green projects come through me. So I'm really engaged in this, and also I'm mentoring some of the climate accelerator and taking part in all similar initiatives of climate-related investing entities in Bulgaria.
Amazing. Thank you so much, ladies. This was really interesting. And for everyone out there, start by using the tote bags you just received as you came into the event. And then when you get ideas of how to become more sustainable, this is where you get the money. So you already know the faces. You just need to reach out. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Sorry, before we wrap this up, we have another brave SHEleader that would like to ask a quick question. They're receiving quick answers, please. And then we're going to wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tony said that this chair is very comfortable, so I want you to try it. Very interesting discussion. My question is related to actually your observations on female entrepreneurs leading sustainability startups. Do you have any insights on the number of women entrepreneurs in the sustainability sector, and what do you think we need to do in order to increase that number? Thank you.
I don't have the number, but I'm absolutely convinced that if there is a country in this world where the women take the leading role, this is Bulgaria. We are participating as KBC Group in a lot of management meetings, and only Bulgaria is represented by so many women there. So it is really impressive, and some of our Belgian managers are joking that in Bulgaria the sex which should be protected are men. So I'm sure that we are taking the initiative not only because we are women, but also with the care for the future of our children and the next generation. We are much more inclined to think in this direction. But I don't want to discriminate men. They're more strategically oriented. We are focused on the details, practical things, and the strategies. We rely on the men.
Well, I concur with you, of course. I don't have any figures as well, but there are sectors in which we see female founders, like circular economy and similar, anything related to fashion, kids, health. We see a lot. We see many women, and I don't. In any case, although I'm one of the founders of European Women in VC, as you might know, but I don't think there is differentiation between projects led by men or led by women. We evaluate them in the same way. They have the same prospects to be accepted, to be approved or not. So I don't think they suffer from the fact that they're led by women or not. But of course, if a women-led project comes to me, it has more chances than if it comes to my colleagues. So this is reality. And that's it. So as soon as we see more women in venture capital funds, I think we will have even more projects of startups led by women.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's yours. Thank you. A round of applause for you.
Благодарю.
Great discussion.
Thank you.